Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Jennifer Masri. So I wanted to talk about blankets because I thought it was very important. I know I did another video on horse being shaved and blankets, but this one I wanted to talk about specifically. So blankets are used obviously to keep your horses warm in the winter, and depending on the temperature would decide what kind of weight blanket you put on, and there are different types obviously. So let's talk about blankets in general. So blankets are great. I love them, and they're very useful as long as they're used in the right concepts. So first of all, you really have to take the time to measure your horse to make sure you have the right size blanket. And how we do that is from the middle of the chest. We take a measuring tape. You're gonna need two people. You measure from the middle of the horse's chest and you go all the way back to the tail. Now, if, like, let's say you get a number that says 73 and a half, then obviously you're gonna wanna go up to 74. But my suggestion always for everybody is to buy two sizes. So if you know your horse is a 74, then possibly pick up a 74 and a 76. And just try it and just see, because every horse's conformation is different. Some of them have a big rump, some of them have like broader shoulders, and some of them are just lanky, So I always say, get another size and just try it on. You can always send it back. Now, all blankets cannot be treated equally. Let's start there. So there are two different types of blankets. We have stable blankets, and the word stable meaning that you can only use them in the stable. You're not going to sit there and turn your horse out in one of these, because the material that they use, once it gets wet, it's not going to keep your horse warm anymore. It's actually going to do the opposite and cause a chill. So we don't want to use stable blankets ever if we're turning our horses out. Or if your horse is in an indoor-outdoor stall, you never want to use stable blankets. So that's number one. Stable blankets are only for the stable. The next one being is turnout blankets and sheets. Now, not all blankets can be treated equally in that sense. So they have different types of denier, and 1600 denier would be the type of material, the strength of the material. Or it'll be 1800 denier. You really want to research that depending on your horse, how playful they are, and what type of denier you need, because some horses can get really rowdy and then, cause rips and tears. But the one thing that I've learned through my blanketing process is, I remember one time I bought my horse, he's a size 74 blanket, but I bought a 72. And a 72 does fit perfectly. It really fits him nice. And what happened was, I bought this blanket, he's turned out, he's having a good old time, he's rolling. Now the front clip in the front of his chest, it actually broke off and fell on the ground. And I was looking for a replacement at the time, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. He broke off the front buckle. Most of the time you'll break other parts of the blanket, but that's what he broke up. So I took that, into my, just remember that. Then next thing you know, after I would say 8 weeks of wearing the blanket, I noticed that his wither started to get a little tiny little mark on it, like it was starting to cause a problem, starting to be, an issue. So right away I said to myself, I go, I'm getting rid of this blanket after the season. This is just not good for him. It's not a good size. So long story short is, I could not bring it back to the manufacturer because I had used it for a full season, and I had to sell the blanket for half than what I paid for it, and we all know blankets are expensive. So I wound up selling it to somebody, for half the price, that can use it and buying the same blanket again, just in the larger size. Now I noticed right away that the larger size it fit him so much better. Even though that the first one was good, this one was totally better. And this is why I tell you, buy two blankets. Try them both on, because sometimes we physically have to see it. So I learned the hard way. I don't want anybody else to do that again. learn the hard way like I did. You know, I probably would have been better off just sending one back, but no, I was pretty stubborn. I thought I had it all, you know, figured out. I didn't. So that should be a cue to you. If you notice your horse's blankets are breaking, ripping, or like, you know, things popping off, like maybe check the sizing and the withers. If they're getting scratches and they're getting like, you know, wither, sores from the blanket, no good, no good. You really want to check that. So I wound up, like I said, going back to the drawing board, getting the larger size, and I gotta tell you, he has had a blanket on since October, and he is doing fabulous. No problems, no rips, no tears, and definitely no sores on any part of his body, which I love. So that's definitely one thing to take into account. Another thing, let's talk about different types of turnout blankets, what types there are. So you can buy a sheet, a turnout sheet, and that's usually, you know, used for wind and rain. It has no fill whatsoever. It has no warmth, no protection. So that would usually be used for wind and rain. Or if you want to put it underneath another blanket to give it a little bit more warmth, you put that on. Now, the next one we have that you could purchase is 100 gram. 100 gram has 100 grams of fill, just like the name. That I would say would be, it's like a lightweight blanket. I would probably use that, you know, more in the fall when it's like, I would say like if your horse is clipped, you know, 50 to 40 degrees. You know, that's the limit on that. If your horse has hair, a full coat, obviously you're not going to put the blanket on until it's 30 degrees and under because they already have hair and you don't want to overheat your horse. So that would be one that I would buy because, you know what, there are times where the weather fluctuates and the temperature fluctuates. So that's actually a great blanket to get. The next one is a 200 gram fill. They also come in 250 gram or 220 gram. That is usually a medium weight blanket. And that would be used more or less like if a horse is clipped, I would say 40, like 50 to like 30, 35 would be like, you know, would be the range. Now, if a horse has hair, you're going to use it for like 30 to 20. You're not going to want to put on your heavyweight because that would be way too hot for them. So a medium weight you would use, you know, during those times. And a medium weight has the name medium weight. Obviously, it has medium weight fill, 200, 250, and I've seen 280 grams of fill. Now, the next one being a heavyweight, which would have like 380 grams of fill, something like that. If a horse is fully, you know, has its coat, you're going to use it 20 and under. Now, if a horse is clipped, you're going to use it like 35 and under. You definitely want to put on the heavyweight. Now, the next one that I've seen that they sell is 400 grams because I've bought one. Amigo actually has one. I've also seen Extreme Baker. I believe they have a 500 gram. Something like that, I don't suggest you use it in New York on a horse that has hair unless it's like 15 degrees and under, you know, because that is really, it has a lot of warmth to it. But if your horse is clipped, you're definitely going to want to put something like that on for 20 degrees and under, because that's going to give them the ultimate warmth. Now, so blankets in general, if they're turnout blankets, they can get wet, they can get moist, they can get dirt. You can use them, you can turn your horse out in them. Like I said, the stable blankets, you're not going to do that. Stable blankets are more or less something that you could put underneath your turnout blanket. I don't suggest it because if it gets wet, it's going to really, you know, be an issue because it's got direct contact to the horse. I actually just like to use stable blankets when the horse is technically in the stable and they can't come out. You know, if he's going to go out to turn out, I'm going to put on the turnout blanket. So during times of blanketing, you know, we really want to make sure that our horse is not getting rubs. We want to check their whole body. Another place that's famous for rubs is right in the center, right where their chest is. That's another place. If you see hair coming off or hair rubbing off in any place, that means the blanket is rubbing against them, and that also is not good. Another thing I tell people is to try different blankets, different brands. Find out which brand, which type of blanket works for your horse, because every blanket has a different way of like going on the horse, and some horses need certain brands. Certain brands, I gotta say, you know, they've come a long way. The one brand I can think of is Schneider's Storm Shield. It actually has a high neck, which I love. So the high neck doesn't sit on the withers, and it's not constantly causing that friction on the withers. It's actually on the neck, and it works fabulous. You know, it gives that protection it needs, and also it's not giving rubs to the horse. The other thing that I can think of, you know, is some people put on, there's these little Lycra, it's like a bodysuit that you put on your horse on the front chest, and it goes around the front chest to the withers to protect the horse, you know, from blanket rubs. I haven't really tried that, but I'm sure a lot of people do. That's another suggestion, you know, of things you could put on to help. But overall, if you're going to blanket your horse, just make sure they are comfortable, they're not getting rubs, the blanket is not wet, and you're going to have to check it every day. You're really going to have to make sure that, you know, it's sitting right on them and it's not causing any discomfort. Well, thank you. I hope this helped, and happy blanket trails. Bye.